As part of the Texas Quail Index, we've taught you about how to do various kinds of indexes or indices. We've done the spring call count where we're listening for the we've done dummy nest, do roadside counts, all these various ways that we can try to estimate what the quail population is. Come in the fall, now we're going to do what's called the covey call count, or the early morning covey call. And we're listening for this sound. And it's basically a covey waking up. You can think of it as reveille. It's going to happen about 40 minutes before official sunrise. And it's only going to last for 30 seconds to a couple of minutes. So you can only do one spot. That's the worst part about these covey call counts. You can only do one spot in the morning. Whereas in the spring cock call counts, we could do 8 or 10 by listening for 5 minutes and moving on. We can only do one of these. So it's really important, if you're going to do several of these, that you have somebody with you and you've got 2 or 3 people stationed at different ones. Here at the Rolling Plains Quail Research Ranch, we have 25 different mile markers scattered across the ranch, and from those mile markers we do our various call counts. In October, we try to monitor every odd numbered mile marker. So we'll get about 13 different samples from across this 4,700 acre property about how many quail we hear whistling. Now the covey call count can give you a crude index to bobwhite density. For example, this morning I heard 5 coveys calling. You divide how many coveys you hear calling by 10, that would be 0.5 for my call count this morning. And that says we've got about a bird per 2 acres. And that's a pretty good goal. Anytime we can get close to hearing 10 coveys at a spot, or a bird per acre, that's a really good management goal. We're going to use the same data sheet that we used for the spring cock call counts, and I'm listening. When I hear those birds start to sound off, one covey's going to call. It's going to stimulate the other covey to call. Our data sheet just looks like an archery target or a bullseye. We're standing right here at the center, and again, if I hear a covey, these are 200, 400, and 600 yard rings. So if I hear a covey out here at about 2 o'clock, I'm going to mark an X. If I hear another covey that's even further away down here about 5 o'clock, mark an X. If I have a covey pretty close to me, then 200 yards, right there. And so like I said, I heard a total of 5 coveys calling this morning. And my distribution would look something like that. We think, in our opinion, we can hear that call for about 600 yards. A circle with a radius of 600 yards is an area of a little over 200 acres. So we think we're getting an estimate of how many different coveys we have per 200 acre circle. Now we don't know for sure what percentage of the coveys do call, but there's some research from Florida that suggests that about, on any given morning, about 80% of the coveys actually give that whistle in a higher density population, which we think we have here. So we like to think again that it's a measure of how many birds we've got going into the hunting season. It's kind of a short range forecast for what our hunting ought to be. And if we can hear at least 5 coveys calling, we're in decent shape. If we can hear 10, or even sometimes the best I've heard is about 14 coveys. Anytime you get above 10, it's hard to distinguish, but that's a great problem to have. Once you hear that initial volley of calls, it's going to happen again about 35 minutes before official sunrise. We encourage you to stay on site listening for the next 20 minutes, because sometimes 15 to 20 minutes later you'll hear a second round of calling. Refer to your diagram. If you hear a covey calling over here at 3 o'clock, have you heard them? Did you mark them a while ago? Sometimes it'll be a new covey. So stay for at least 20 minutes after that initial volley of calls. Now if you're in blue quail country, you get to sleep in, because blue quail have no covey call like this. So we don't even try to do this when it comes to recording or estimating a blue quail situation. There's a real nice little fact sheet called Counting Quail. I'll give the address at the end of this webisode, and you can check that out, and it gives you all the details. It's available online. in a PDF version, so you can download that and take that with you for a homework example.